go ahead and deal with the words of the Master. The words of the Master, where we look at the things that Yeshua said and talk about his actual words and the situations that happened that caused him to speak. This week, we are talking about the title that we're going with this week is and then two blind men. Probably should have put in the ellipses before and after. And then two blind men. Matthew 9:27 through 34. Matthew 9:27 through 34. So let's go ahead and read those verses, and then we'll just come back and discuss.
And as Yeshua passed on from there, two blind men followed him, crying out, saying, Son of David, have compassion on us. And when he had came into the house, the blind men came to him, and Yeshua said to them, Do you believe that I am able to do this? They said to him, Yes, Master. Then he touched their eyes, saying, According to your belief, let it be to you. And their eyes were opened, and Yeshua strictly ordered them, saying, See, let no one know. But when they went out, they made him known in all that land. And as they were going out, see, they brought to him a man dumb and demon-possessed. And when the demon was cast out, the dumb one spoke. And the crowds marveled, saying, It was never seen like this in Israel. But the Pharisees said, He cast out demons by the ruler of the demons. 24, right?
Yeah. Okay, very good. So, we go back up here. See where it says back in verse 24, Yeshua passed on from there. This is just a continuation from before. It's interesting when we look at Yeshua, who we saw how he was going back and forth across the waters. His life is becoming so that his time is filled with people coming and trying to receive from him. He's going from one thing to the next, right? It said that Yeshua passed from there, right? This is from before when he was dealing with the girl that he just raised from the dead. And right, so he's at this time where he's gaining all of this popularity because of these things that he's doing. He's trying to contain it, but it seems to be uncontainable. He's doing these amazing things, and he doesn't want to, for things to blow up too fast, because, you can only imagine that there is an overall game plan in mind. There are things that he needs to do that need to be fulfilled. I'm sure that there are various deadlines and appointments that need to be met. And so he's forever telling these people, don't tell nobody what just happened. And they keep on telling people. Right? And so the word keeps spreading. The whole reason why he even got to the place where he was at in the first place was, all he did was just come back from across the waters And then the people was like, oh, Yeshua, he's back. Let's go. Like, yeah, they was probably over there waiting. But then when he comes back, of course, he's Yeshua. And so he's doing all of these things. And then, he's doing some amazing thing. And then saying, don't tell nobody. But what happens when something just ordinarily, I don't know if there's such a thing as something being ordinarily amazing, but just like regular, like you just had just an awesome day. Like your day just was magnificent. Don't you just want to talk about it? You just want to tell people about it. I know women love talking about things in general. They say that women just have to have like so many words got to come out. And whatever that number is exponentially more than how many words that got to come out from a man. And so just imagine like if it's something that is good. It's like this thing that's just inside and you just can't just not talk about these things. You just got to get those words out. And so that's what it's like. You know what I mean? It's like this, but I'm saying that you could just think about just, I went to the store and like this thing was on sale. Like you have like this unctioning to just talk about the fact that this happened to you. Right? But can you imagine like my daughter was dead and now she's not dead anymore? Like what that would be like to not talk about that. Like I used to not be able to walk and now I'm able to walk. Yeah. And I'm just like, I couldn't hear on yesterday, but now I can. I mean, I can imagine that it's hard to not talk about that.
I'll write a book. I'll be your author of that. I'll be out there, yeah.
They had phones then?
Oh my goodness.
Oh man,
yeah. If they had social media then?
Yeah.
That's one of the temptations Yeshua had to fight, to be a social media star.
That's why he was like, don't tell nobody. He was trying to keep it on the low. He didn't even wanted to go out.
Yeah.
I can imagine everybody with their phones walking around.
Crazy. And
recording every single thing.
Yeah. And so we see this is where we are with Yeshua here, right? And then it says that 2 blind men followed him, which is interesting because how is somebody blind following Yeshua? Like,
It's sin. It's sin. Everyone has a folder. Everyone has a sin. And when you can't
that's interesting.
When you can't see, I grew up with blind people. When you can't see, your nose, your ears, you hear and you smell everything. They can tell everybody if you have on no perfume, no cologne, no nothing. You walk in the room and they can tell if somebody's different in here. Because as you come in, they're sensitive to that. And you have no, everyone has one.
That's actually something I didn't even think about. Like I didn't even think about the idea of somebody blind, unassisted in following. Like my thought was, the guy that's their friend is helping them to find where Yeshua is. I didn't even think about the fact of them actually doing it on their own, which, again, it's here, it's not stated. And when you think about the way that it's given it to us here in terms of these 2 blind men followed him, and what they're doing things to be noticed of Messiah, right? They're doing things to be noticed.
You know, this happened to me. I was,
What, you did something so that someone could notice?
I was on the north side and like this person like had this like, I don't know if he was whistling with his mouth or if he had a whistle. But it was like this loud like sound that was coming from this person and I was like, what is he doing? And then like I just kept on going. Then I heard it again. But he was blind and he was trying to call for somebody to help him get across the big intersection at Federal Street. Federal and I think that might be, I don't know what that is. I don't know, the main street where like West Penn Hospital is and all that.
North Avenue.
North Avenue and Federal Street. He's trying to get someone to help him cross so he wouldn't get hit
Yeah.
on that intersection.
So you
But he
start
didn't
crying
have
out.
anybody to help him. He was calling out for somebody to help him, and then eventually somebody paid him attention.
Yeah.
But like I was one of those people that was like, what is he doing? Like
Yeah.
I did not know what he was doing. And,
Yeah.
Anyway, that happened to me. Like
Yeah. Well, when you look here, when it says over there that they were crying out, to me, when it says that they were crying out and saying, like at least in the English, you have two things that they're doing right there. They're crying out and they're saying. Like you could think about it in a way of them crying out the thing that they're saying, and that be the crying out. Or you could think about it as two things that's going on, that they're crying out and saying. So it's interesting when you look at the Greek here, pull that up there, that Greek word there for crying out.
All right ahead of you. See here.
2896. And that word there is kraza, which, let's see, properly to croak as a raven or scream or call out, shriek, exclaim, entreat. And so if you look at pull up the word study on that.
Word study.
Because if you come to find out when we look at the word study that this word here is an onomatopoeia. It's an onomatopoeia. Who know what an onomatopoeia is? You know what oh.
It's like to describe sound.
What is it?
It's to describe sound effects, like boom, bam, like noises.
Yes, it's a sound that but it's associated with the thing that is describing them. Just like nakash is the Hebrew word for serpent, but it comes from the sound that the serpent makes. And so yes, if you say boom is a name of a thing from the sound that happens whenever there's a boom. Right? And so this thing here is an onomatopoeia imitating the hoarse cry, the actual sound that a raven makes. Whatever sound that is. Probably. All right? It's this loud, like, incoherent sound that doesn't mean anything. It's just some loud, shrieking sound. So there's that going on, and there's saying. Right? So they're making noises. They're calling attention to themselves with these unintelligible sounds that they're making, and they're saying things. So they're making noises, right, that are both incoherent and coherent simultaneously. Probably like that guy was doing. Come up across the street.
He didn't say it.
Whoop, whoop. Check this out. What's What's the little noise that they was making over there? Was it a hissing sound they was doing?
What was
Okay, so but that's what's going on over here, right? And they're saying, along with this, you know, just trying to get the attention of someone, Son of David, have compassion on us. And so first, let's talk about what it is that they're desiring before we talk about who they're desiring it from. Compassion. Right? That word there is, pull that up there in the Greek there. Compassion. Mercy. Right? Divine grace, compassion, to have or obtain or to show mercy. If we thought about it from a Hebraic standpoint, that word is chesed. Chesed, kindness, which is a virtue which inspires us with compassion for others and inclines us to assist them in their needs or in their necessities. Right? And so to have mercy on, to help one afflicted or seeking aid. And so when we think about mercy, mercy is a tenderness of heart which disposes a person to overlook injuries or to treat an offender better than he deserves. If you did something to me that warrants a slap, and even though you deserve a slap, instead I give you a hug. That's mercy. Right? There's something that you deserve. I don't give you what you deserve. Instead, I give you something that's better. That's mercy. And so when we think about this idea of mercy, it's to be in need of something from someone other than yourself. To have, that's when you're in need of mercy. You're in need of something and you're not able to meet that need your own self. You need mercy. When one talks about being at the mercy of the court, there's nothing that you can do. Only the court can decide what it is that happens to you because you're at their mercy. So when you have a particular authority or power, or you're in a particular position to grant something to someone who doesn't have power or position or authority, then you're able to then grant mercy. Right? So one without the ability to provide a thing on their own, they require or seek mercy. And so when we look at these individuals, they're blind. They probably would like to not be blind. And it's probably safe to say that they're not able to unblind themselves. So there's a particular power or authority that they seek to tap into that they don't have and that they are seeking. someone that is greater than themselves, someone that has a particular power and authority that they themselves don't have, that they don't have access to. And they're crying out to Yeshua, and they're calling him the Son of David. The Son of David. And so when we think about this as a title, it's kind of a messianic title, Son of David. And so when we think about what it is that they are saying when they say Son of David, they are expressing the fact that not only does this, because they're asking for compassion, not only does this individual have the ability to give them something that they can't give to their own selves, sight, they're asking for compassion, but they're asking it from this Messiah who, to say that he is the Son of David, they're proclaiming him, as Messiah. And the idea of Messiah was that he was this anointed prophet and king. The idea of Messiah was a prophet and he was a ruler. And he was the actual son of David. So he comes from the seed of David. Right? And so there's things that even by them saying, just like in places where Yeshua is called master by someone, when someone says to you, master, there's things that are implied by the thing that you said. Right? As if to say, if I'm saying that you're master, then your servant. And so if they're saying that he is son of David, they're saying that he's Messiah. They're saying that he is the returning king of Israel. They're saying that, but what they're also saying is that he is coming to relieve them not only of these physical ailments that they have, but to take them from up under the foot of the Romans too. That was also part of this whole idea of the Son of David. And so many times we see with Messiah where he's giving the coming from Elohim, anointed person that's coming to bring this spiritual enlightenment. But there's an aspect, that political aspect, that he shies away from all the way until the end. At the end, when the Pharisees, they force him to say that he's the son of David, and he says it right before they go ahead and crucify him. But all the way up till then, he's doing these things that are likened unto what the son of David would actually do. But then he says to the people, don't say that I'm the son of David. Don't say that nobody did this for you. Right? And so there's an understanding that the people had about who the son of David is and what he came to do. Yeshua was all the time giving them half of that, but not always giving the whole of that, holding some parts back because it's not yet time. let's go over to, let's look at 2 Samuel. Let's go to 2 Samuel and talk about this, what it means. 2 Samuel 7, 12 through 16.
When your days are filled and you rest with your fathers, I shall raise up your seed after you, who comes from your inward parts, and shall establish his reign. He does build a house for my name, and I shall establish the throne of his reign forever. I am to be his father, and he is my son. If he does perversely, I shall reprove him with the rod of men and with the blows of the sons of men. But my loving commitment does not turn aside from him, as I turned it aside from Shaul, whom I removed from before you. And your house and your reign are to be steadfast forever before you. Your throne is established forever.
Okay, very good. So David's literal son did in fact make a house for the Most High. A house that it was no more. David's literal son did actually rule over the nation. But then other people also did too, though. And so we can look at this from two perspectives. From a physical standpoint only, and then also from a physical and spiritual standpoint together. Physical only, you know, Solomon, right? He built the temple. He was the king, right? He was reprimanded from, the things that he did, right? But was still loved. But Yeshua is the only one that you could think about when it talks about the idea that his throne is established forever, right? His reign will be steadfast forever. And so when we think about the idea of the Son of David, this in fact is a messianic figure who at the time Israel is waiting to come back and to take control of the situation and to rescue the people on various levels that are described for us somewhat in Isaiah. Let's look at Isaiah 35. Isaiah 35, and we can read, let's read 1 through 10.
So Isaiah 35:1, let the wilderness and the dry place be glad for them, and let the desert rejoice and blossom as a rose. It blossoms much and rejoices, even with joy and singing. The esteem of Lebanon shall be given to it, and the excellence of Carmel and Sharon. They shall see the esteem of Yahweh, the excellency of our Elohim, strengthen the weak hands and make firm the weak knees.
Hold on one second. When we think about the restoration of Israel, a lot of times people look at this and think about the land. The land was a desert. Now it's like an oasis of trees and all of these things. But what about the people, though? And so when we think about the idea of the restoration of the people, it causes us to think about in a more fuller context. And so when we think about the fact that when we're able to look at the people and see the esteem of Yahweh, and the excellency of our Elohim when we look at the people.
Yeah.
That their hands have been made strong and their weak knees have been made firm. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's kind of how, when I read the scriptures, when I see Israel, I don't even really think of the land.
Yeah.
Unless it specifically is talking about the land, but any other time, it's the people.
Yeah.
Because if the people ain't in the land, I mean, the land can still have value, but even the different lands was named after people.
Mm-hmm.
So I always associated that, that point of when you see it talking about or Israel restoring something, the people was the center point.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, keep on going.
All right, verse 4. Say to those with anxious heart, be strong, do not fear. See, your Elohim comes with vengeance, with the recompense of Elohim. He is coming to save you.
Okay, he is coming to save you. And so again, we think about those guys, those blind people who are crying out, Son of David, have mercy on us. Come and do for us what we're not able to do for ourselves. Not only from a physical standpoint, but from a spiritual standpoint as well. Come and save us. They're calling for this scripture right here to be manifest. Keep on going, verse 5.
Then the eyes of the blind shall be open, and the ears of the deaf be open. Then the lame and the leap like a deer, and the tongue of the dumb sing, because waters shall burst forth in the wilderness, and streams in the desert.
Okay, very good. Again, we're talking about what the Most High is going to be doing for his people. When we think about the idea of Yeshua talking about those coming to drink from his water and becoming rivers of living water, right? He talks about the fact that, you as a people were these desert lands, and you're going to be a place where you're bursting forth with waters. Okay, keep on going, verse 7.
And the parched ground shall become a pool, and the thirsty land springs of water, and the home for jackals, where each lay grass with reeds and rushes. And there shall be an highway and a way, and it shall be called the way of set apartness. The unclean does not pass over it, but it is for those who walk the way, and no fools wander on it. No lion is there, nor any ravenous beast go upon it. It is not found there. But the redeemed shall walk there, and the ransom of Yahweh shall return, and in Zion with singing, with everlasting joy on their heads. They shall obtain joy and gladness, and sorrow and sighing shall flee away.
Okay, very good. So it talks about that there shall be this highway, this place where you're able to get from this place to the other place, and it's going to be this way of holiness. It's a return back to the things that the Most High expected from his people from the beginning. This way of holiness. An unclean can't come through this way. And it's going to be an intentional way. It say no fools wander on it. You're not accidentally just stumbling across this way. You can't accidentally go down this way. If you come in this way, it's like a one-way street. You got business down on this street. You got business over here. That's why you're there. You didn't
There's no
accidentally.
throughway.
There's no through way. You didn't just stumble across it. You're there on purpose. This place is the place where the redeemed walk at.
Right.
The people that was bought. The people that was there because they was bought by the master and that was placed on that path. It's interesting when you look at verse 9, it says the redeemed shall walk there. In verse 10 says the ransomed of Yahweh shall return to that place. It's not the same word, but they're the same meaning. Right? They're two different words in the Hebrew, but they give you the same idea. And then the result of all of that is everlasting joy on your head. I like how it ends. It talks about, it says, but they shall obtain joy and gladness, and sorrow and sighing shall flee away. No sighing, no sorrow, no affliction. No affliction. It's interesting, that word there that means affliction, because when we think about plagues, we think about affliction. When we think about blindness, we think about affliction. Or when we think about all of the things that Messiah is coming along and doing away with as he's walking around, those things are all in the category of affliction. Those things flee away.
Right.
Along with sighing, groaning, mourning, expressions of grief. All of those things are going away. And so those guys that are crying out, they're groaning and mourning and expressing grief. Come help me. Give me compassion. They're crying out. And Messiah is coming and he's answering their call and putting gladness and everlasting joy on their heads. That's why they can't be quiet, because there's everlasting joy on their head. Yes, they're being disobedient. They're being disobedient. The master said don't do it, and they go in and do it anyway. They're wrong, but they can't help it because they have everlasting joy on their heads. They've experienced something that they probably thought that they never was going to experience in their life.
They didn't have laser surgery.
What?
They didn't have like laser corrective.
No, it was miraculous. It was nothing that was scientifical about it. They were magically, they were miraculously healed. It's not magic. They were miraculously healed by the master. And now they have everlasting joy on their heads, which caused them actually to be disobedient to the Most High, but they could not help themselves because of that joy that was on them.
Hallelujah. Thank you.
Okay, so we don't want to advocate disobedience here because they definitely was disobedient. But there's a reason why. There's a reason why. It's not right. It's just a matter of facts, right? They couldn't help it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so when we look at these men now that receive this healing, let's go back. Let's look over here. There's calling out to the Son of David. Give us, please, compassion. And when he came into the house, Yeshua came into the house. So he came to where they was at. And when he came into the house, the blind man came to him in the house and said, Yeshua said to them, do you believe that I'm able to do it? This is interesting because why does Yeshua need this? It seems like they believed that's why they was calling out to him in the first place. Well, for whatever reason, he needed for them to kind of agree and to pronounce something, to profess something. And they say, yes, master. They didn't even just say yes, right? They say yes, they do believe that he's able to do it, and they refer to him as master. They called him in the first place son of David. Now they're connecting all of this together to themselves, calling him master, which implies that they, in fact, are his servants, which affirms that they do, in fact, believe that he's able to do it. And so Yeshua says, as he touches their eyes, according to your belief, let it be to you. Which is similar to what he says to the guy with the daughter just earlier. Like just now, like it just literally just happened. And so we look and we see that happens, and then in verse 30 he says, all right, don't let nobody know about this. But they do the exact opposite. And they made him known in the whole land, it said, in all the land. And so again, when we look at these people, what they're doing is not quite being examples of the things that they have manifest in terms of being the servants of the master, who is in fact the son of David. But again, you know, from a realistic standpoint, how can they be quiet? How can they be quiet? Go ahead.
You know, I just think about, I don't know, for some reason I think about like the shout dance. When I think about this, you know, when I think of his goodness and what he's done for me, when I think of his goodness and how he set me free, you know, because you know, whenever the Holy Spirit be, you know, get up beside you, like, you know, you can't just sit down, like, you know.
Yeah.
Hiskey don't like that.
There's a lot of emotion
Yeah.
that builds up as a result of something magnificent that has happened to you.
It's a praise break. That's what Hiskey calls it.
I mean, when you look at this, I mean, it's a clear example of that. And I think it's actually a great example. Because again, we're talking about these people, they're not doing what the Most High said do. But their physicalness can't allow for them to not say something or do something as a result. They're not able to separate the two things, right? And so that's what they do. Again, this is, you know, he said don't do it. They do it. And so,
Strictly ordered.
yes, he's literally, it's strictly ordered. Is that 2 words or 1?
I'm pulling it up. Strictly, it's, I don't know, Greek words.
Is it 1 word or
It's
2?
1 word. Well, no, because it's Greek.
The idea is that he really wants them not to do something, and they do it anyway. And so the point is that even though, like, there's not like a good part of it, because it's what the opposite of what he said. But all I'm saying is that when we think about it from a physical standpoint, they can't help themselves. They can't help themselves because there's, you know, of the joy that's been placed on their heads.
Everlasting.
Everlasting joy, right? And so when we look at the next thing that happens, right? Which, by the way, it's interesting that we see these in this sequence like this because it corresponds exactly with prophecy when you think about what it was that they was looking for in terms of what the Messiah would be doing in terms of causing the blind to see and the dumb to speak. Here, read verse 32 again for us.
32.
Yes.
It said, and as they were going out, see, they brought to him a man dumb and a demon possessed.
Like, they, to me, seems like it's the blind guys. Did they just all hang out together with each other? Like these people that was like disabled? They had there was like a crew together. I don't know who they is, but they very well could be the two that was blind and then they got healed. And part of the thing that they did was go out and get somebody else who couldn't talk. And so it's interesting when we look at this guy here, it says that he was dumb, which means that he couldn't speak, and demon possessed. And so these spirits don't want you to talk. They don't want you to speak. Right? They're trying to shut up the thing that you are, which is, if we're talking about towards the Most High, He wants your praise. But when you're thinking about just, we think about the great command, right? And the one that's likened unto it, to love the Most High and to love your neighbor. This whole thing that we do, this life that we live is, how we deal with the Almighty and how we deal with one another. And so this demon-possessed person, where he's not able to speak, one of the things that is hindered when speech is taken away from you is being social with people. We're social beings. Punishment, what they do in prison is go and put you in a room that's by yourself. You can't talk to nobody.
Yes, that's right.
And as a punishment. I mean, I like to be by myself, but it's only for so long. Then I want to talk to somebody. Then I want to have some socialization with somebody. It don't got to be but, a couple people. You know what I mean? But it got to be somebody. I got to be able to talk. I got to be able to say things. But that's how I was created. We was created in the image of Elohim. He made us like this. He made us to want to talk to each other. And so these demons get up in you and say, you can't talk anymore. You can't talk. You can't socialize. You can't, have fellowship with anyone. Right? Isolate you. Right? And so we have, and you don't have the ability to communicate. You can't say what's, my least favorite portion of having children is a place when they can't communicate. All they do is cry. That's my least favorite part. When they start talking, that's my most favorite part. Just when they start talking. Once they get a full grasp of it, it starts to go back down again. My most favorite part is that part when they they begin to understand about communicating and them trying to do it. They're literally becoming human. I mean, before that, there's no difference between them and, you know what I mean? There's no difference. It's just like, But when they begin to communicate, that's what we do. But these demons have gotten into this individual here and others. This is one of the things that the Messiah is going to do, cause the dumb to speak, cause those that aren't able to speak. The demons get in and cause these people to not be able to communicate and not be able to relay things, thoughts, and ideas, express. And so when we look at the response of the Pharisees when Yeshua comes and does this thing, it's so interesting to me that the response of the Pharisees is what it is. Here, read 34 again for us.
But the Pharisee said, he cast out demons by the ruler of the demons.
This doesn't make any sense, what they're saying. And you know, this caused me to think about something that really is a what's it called whenever it's anachronistic. What it caused me to think about, because this thing called cognitive dissonance is something that was classified in the 50s. But that's only because they looked at something that people was doing and called it something. But that don't mean that what it wasn't something that people did. You know, when you have a thought or an idea or a belief inside of you, and then you're faced with reality. And reality, you got reality on one side, and you got this thought or this idea on the other side. You have to deal with that, you know, how you feel about things and weigh that against reality. Because sometimes those things are incongruent with one another. The way I feel about something, the way I believe about something, I should be able to look at reality and then adjust. But if there is a discrepancy in reality and how I'm thinking about things now, I reject reality, which doesn't make any sense. But that's what these people was doing. And so because they're not able to grasp the idea that this man is manifesting the power of Elohim on earth, he's doing it from the devil. And they have to reject what they clearly see with their own eyes because of this conflict of what they believe and reality.
My question is, do the devil heal people? What the devil be
It don't
helping
even make
people?
any sense.
What the devil be
Like
helping
when you
people?
say it like that, I mean,
Amen.
it makes it so ridiculous. But it is ridiculous. But that's the point, though. Like the conclusion that they're coming up with is so ridiculous that it's just a clear illustration of their inability to accept reality in a realistic way. And they can't do nothing else but just maintain this belief instead of allowing for there to be a change, because there's an obvious contradiction. They have this belief that the Most High is coming back and it's going to look like this, and then it happens and it looks like this guy over here who's just this regular guy. He don't even go to the shul. He don't even be at the synagogue except for, he comes You know what I mean? We all grew up together learning and being taught by the masters. This guy, his daddy is a carpenter. It can't be him. They have these thoughts in their mind and it don't line up. And then when they're faced with reality, they have to reject reality. And so it's so interesting when we look at these Pharisees and they do this and they're saying these things, but when you think about these things, you know, these things are still happening even today. People have these thoughts and ideas about how we're supposed to think about the Bible. And they say that they are followers of the God of the Bible and his son, Yeshua, Messiah. But when it comes to doing the things that the Most High actually said that he likes, they don't want to have their lives be lined up with that because of this idea that's contrary to reality. If the Most High said that he likes what he likes, and he never said that he stopped liking the things that he likes, how can I have this idea that somehow because his very son came and walked the earth, that somehow changed, even though his son said he wasn't going to change it? Right? There's a discrepancy with reality and people's thoughts and ideas. But it's no different than it was from the time that Yeshua walked the earth. He's doing these things that if you're looking at it with the right eyes, like Nicodemus, who was in fact one of these Pharisees, who was able to look and see and know the things that he did and say, nobody but Elohim could give you this power. Because he was able to look at the discrepancy with the thoughts that was the status quo, and realize that the thought had to change, not reality. Right? And so this is what we have to understand when we look at these Pharisees over here when they're saying these things, is that they really have this inability to accept what's obvious, and it causes them to say these things that there's no way it could be true. What point does the ruler of demons have by getting into somebody and then casting his own self out? He's not expanding that kingdom, he's expanding the other one by doing it. Because these people are freed and they go out and propagate Messiah's kingdom, the kingdom of Elohim.
You got a comment? Says, which is harder, to change everything you've ever believed or to maintain your current way? Change is definitely good, but it is hard, especially when pride/ego are involved. And then another one says, the walk is not for the faint of heart or coward. It takes big courage to go against mass systematic complacency.
Yes, I mean, that's absolutely true. It's not easy, but it's not wrong. It's supposed to be hard. It's not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be hard. And again, when we look at these people, these Pharisees, we see Pharisees who do make it to the other side. They're able to reject the ways that they were taught and ingrained in these ways. These people are just going along with whatever their basic understanding was of things. And the way that they was taught, that's what they're doing. And they're not seeing the Messiah come the way they thought that he was going to come, so therefore, that ain't it.
I mean, they thought they was gonna be involved. I think that's what it was. they thought they had a job.
Mm.
And then when he came, they didn't really have a job, they didn't have a partner.
I mean, whatever the case may
Why didn't
be,
they just ask them if they could help them pass out some news too?
I'm saying whatever the case may be, the facts of the matter are is that what it was that they were previously or presently thinking when Messiah, who's coming and doing these things that are obviously only able to be done, he literally just raised somebody from the dead.
I'd be like,
These things that he's doing, only the Most High can do. He's literally healing lepers. He's doing all these things that no man can do. And so the logical conclusion is that this is who we think that he is, even though he don't look like how we thought he would look. But because it's counterculture, because it goes against what they thought and what they believed, they adhere to the traditions of men and put away the commandments of Elohim.
We're still doing that to this day. Except the people today say they accept Messiah. And they're putting away the commandments.
I mean, but it's the same though. But it's the same thing though. I mean, but they're saying something out of their mouth, but the walk is not the same. It's interesting when we think about what it talked about in Isaiah, where this walk of holiness, this way, is an intentional way. You're walking this way on purpose. You're doing the things that are in line with this way, on this highway, on purpose. And so when we think about the role of the Ruach HaKodesh, it causes us to walk in his laws, statutes, and commands. When we align ourselves with the spirit that's inside of us, from the one who has redeemed us, from the one who has ransomed us, he literally causes us to walk in a particular way, on purpose. And so when we're not going according to that, then we're obviously not on the right road. Okay, does anybody have any thoughts, questions, or comments about any of that? Okay, so kind of as we begin to be finished here, we want to just lastly just say that when we think about Messiah and all that he came to do, especially at this time as we're kind of chronicling his path, he's doing more. He's, the kingdom is expanding. It's becoming more and more difficult to be kind of low key with all of the things that he's doing. And it's a build-up. It's a build-up to, to the crescendo. He is telling these people to be quiet about the thing that he clearly is, not because he doesn't want the kingdom to be expanded, but again, he just has certain things that he has to do in his walk on this earth that he has to meet. But we find by the time he gets to the end that he finally, openly pronounces the thing that he doesn't want for so many to do in its proper time. And so it's just interesting as we look and see as things progress through this walk of Yeshua on the earth, and you know, kind of seeing how at this point, which when you think about it, is really like, it's kind of really at the beginning, how much of an impact and kind of an explosion that's happening with the thing that he's doing, and also the people's reaction to it, which, as we said, is really no different than what we see today, when we have kind of the pure unadulterated way that Messiah has himself instituted. When we're able to see that, and we're able to see kind of mainstream where these two things really aren't necessarily moving in the same direction, and nothing, you know, everything that was, you know, just shall be again. And so it's not anything different. We just have to know that we can't look at these things that people are doing. We can't look at what the majority of people are doing. We can't look at what the so-called scholars are doing, because here we see the scholars are saying that Yeshua's from the devil. We're only able to look at, you know, what is the reality, and we're able to understand that the Spirit, the Ruach, is doing, and see and follow after that, and not men and traditions. All right. So, if no one has any questions, yes.
Why did they Yeshua the devil?
Because they failed to accept the actual truth. They weren't being honest with their own selves. Is probably the real answer. They probably really knew that he wasn't, but because they weren't able to actually accept the actual truth, they came up with this answer that was not the right answer. Okay. All right, so we will be done for now. Yah willing, we'll be back on next Shabbat to continue and look at the words of the Master. Yah willing, everyone will have a blessed week. Until next week, we'll say Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.